A complete story. The Hindu Kush Mountains don't forgive mistakes. At 14,000 feet, with wind cutting through Kevlar like razor wire, every decision matters. Every breath counts. Every second could be your last. Commander Mason Drake pressed his eye against the spotting scope, watching 25 Taliban fighters close in on his position. 54 years old, 36 years as a Navy SEAL, and he'd never felt fear like this. 800 yards down the slope, his team was pinned. 3 men wounded, ammunition running low. The math was simple and brutal. Without a miracle, they'd be dead in 5 minutes. The miracle lay beside him on her stomach. She was 26 years old, weighed 118 pounds, stood 5'3". The M40A5 sniper rifle looked comical against her small frame, but her breathing was steady, her hands rock solid, and her eyes held the same ice-cold calculation her father had possessed. "Range," she said quietly. 812 yards, Drake replied. Wind gusting to 18 miles per hour. 25 targets, scattered formation, all moving. Time? Drake glanced at his tactical display. Master Chief Dalton was bleeding from his leg but still firing. The Taliban were closing fast. 10 seconds, maybe less. She adjusted her scope with mechanical precision. Her finger rested on the trigger guard, not the trigger itself. Everything by the book. Everything exactly as her father had taught her. "Corporal Morrison," Drake said, and his voice cracked. 36 years as a SEAL, and his voice actually cracked. "If you miss, we die. All of us." She turned her head, looked him dead in the eye, and for just a moment, Drake saw Billy Morrison staring back at him through those ice-blue eyes. "Then I won't miss, sir." What happened in the next 10 seconds would become legend. But to understand how a 26-year-old woman ended up on an Afghan mountain holding 7 lives in her hands, you need to go back 6 months. Back to when Mason Drake still believed in retirement. 6 months earlier. The 5 a.m. run was supposed to clear his head. Pacific Beach, San Diego. Same route Drake had run for 20 years. His knees complained more than they used to. His lungs took longer to warm up. But the ocean was indifferent to his age, and he liked that. Predictability, routine, control. His phone buzzed at mile 4. "Drake." "Mason, it's Patterson. Need you at Coronado. 0900. Clear your afternoon." Admiral James Patterson didn't call at dawn unless something was burning. "Sir, I've got advanced marksmanship at 10. Already handled. This is priority." The line went dead. Drake finished his run, showered, dressed in his instructor uniform. The ribbons on his chest told a story written in blood and sand across 3 decades. Silver Star, Bronze Star with Valor, Purple Heart with 2 oak leaf clusters. The Navy Cross stayed in a drawer at home because wearing it felt like showing off. The drive to Naval Special Warfare Center took 15 minutes through gates where every guard knew his face. He'd been coming here since 1988, when Reagan was still president and the Berlin Wall still stood. Admiral Patterson's office overlooked the obstacle course where fresh SEAL candidates struggled through morning PT. Some would make it, most wouldn't. The ones who made it would go to war. Some would die there. This was the machine. Drake had been part of it so long he couldn't remember what life looked like outside. "Mason," Patterson stood, silver-haired and linebacker built at 62. "Thanks for coming." "Like I had a choice, sir." Patterson smiled slightly. "We need to talk about the future, about training women." Drake blinked. "Sir?" "For SEAL sniper operations." Patterson pulled out a folder containing a photograph. Young woman, Marine Corps dress blues, dark hair, striking blue eyes. Corporal Sarah Catherine Morrison, 26 years old, 8 years Marine Corps, 2 tours Afghanistan, 1 Iraq, 17 unconfirmed kills. Unconfirmed? Because she's a woman. Her COS wouldn't put her in for official recognition. Patterson's jaw tightened. She applied to Marine Scout Sniper School 3 times. Denied every time. Not for lack of qualification, for her gender. Drake studied the photograph. She looked impossibly young. College classroom, not combat zone. Why are we discussing her, Admiral? Because her father was Staff Sergeant William Morrison. The name hit Drake like a physical blow. Billy Morrison. The legend. The ghost. The best damn sniper Drake had ever seen. I met him once, Drake said quietly. Helmand Province, 2011. My team needed overwatch for hostage rescue. He made a shot through an 8-inch window at 1,200 yards, killed 2 tangos simultaneously, saved the hostage and my entire team. He died a year later, IED attack. His daughter was 14. Drake looked at the photograph again. Now he saw it, those eyes. Billy Morrison had possessed those same calculating, ice-cold eyes. You want me to train Billy Morrison's daughter. I want you to give her a fair shot, that's all. Patterson leaned back. Look, Mason, half the brass thinks women can't handle special operations. But this girl, I watched her shoot at Quantico. She's scary good. Being good at a range isn't the same as combat, which is why we're testing. 1 slot, trial program. She makes it, we prove it's possible. She doesn't. At least we tried. Drake was quiet, watching through the window as a candidate fell off the cargo net. The instructor screamed. The candidate got up, tried again. When does she arrive? 1,400 hours. I'm bringing her to your advanced marksmanship class. Patterson smiled. Figured you'd want to see what she can do. Admiral, my class is 24 male SEAL candidates, all young, cocky, convinced they're God's gift to warfare. Then she'll fit right in. The afternoon heat was brutal. 100 degrees on the range, no shade, no mercy. Drake's advanced marksmanship class was the filter before SEAL sniper school. Fail here, you'd never survive the real training. 24 candidates stood in formation. All men, ages 22 to 28. Everyone had survived basic underwater demolition training. Elite among elite. They were also getting sloppy. 600 yards, Drake announced. Wind 15 miles per hour, gusting to 20. 10 shots, minimum 8 hits to pass. The candidates moved to firing positions. Drake walked behind them, observing. Candidate Peterson's elbow was too high. Walsh gripped too tight. Hendricks, blonde, 6'1", Tennessee farm boy with attitude, was checking his phone. Hendricks! The candidate jerked to attention. Sir, put the phone away and get on your rifle. Yes, sir. Commence firing. The range erupted with M4A1 rifles cracking, brass ejecting, targets dancing in heat shimmer 6 football fields away. Drake watched through binoculars. Most shots went wide. The wind was tricky, gusting from the ocean. You had to read it, adjust, compensate. 10 minutes later, cease fire! Peterson, 7 hits, fail. Walsh, 6 hits, fail. Hendricks, 8 hits, barely passing. Drake lowered his binoculars. 6 out of 24 made minimum standard. Pathetic. The candidates stood silent, sweating, angry. You know your problem? You think marksmanship is about the rifle. It's not. It's about reading environment. Wind isn't constant. It gusts, shifts. You need to watch grass, heat shimmer, how air moves. Your rifle doesn't know those things. You do. The range office door opened. Admiral Patterson walked out. Behind him came a woman. The range went silent. She was tiny, 5'3" at most, slender build, Marine Corps utilities hanging loose on her frame. Dark brown hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. Young face, almost delicate, but she carried herself with perfect military posture. 24 male SEAL candidates stared. Drake saw Hendricks elbow the man beside him, saw smirks, heard a whispered comment ending with, "Belong in a kitchen." Attention! Drake's voice cracked like a whip. Clients snapped to attention, all except Hendricks, who took an extra second. Drake noted it. "Gentlemen," Patterson said, This is Corporal Sarah Catherine Morrison, United States Marine Corps. As of today, she's joining your training program. Profound silence. Then someone laughed, just a short bark of disbelief. Something funny? Patterson's voice went arctic. Silence again. Patterson turned to Drake. Commander, she's all yours. Give her a weapon and a lane. The Admiral left. Drake stood with 24 stunned candidates and one woman who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. He studied her. She met his eyes without flinching. No fear, no uncertainty, just calm assessment. Corporal Morrison. Sir, steady voice. Ever fire an M4A1? Yes, sir, qualified expert. Hendricks muttered something. Drake caught the word Marines with distinct contempt. Hendricks, you have something to say? The candidate straightened. No, sir. Good. Drake turned to Morrison. The course is simple. 600 yards, 10 shots, 8 hits minimum. Wind 15 to 20 miles per hour from the west. Can you handle that? Yes, sir. Lane 12. Get on the line. She moved without hesitation. Picked up an M4A1, checked chamber, magazine, safety, everything by the book. Her hands were small. She had to adjust grip to reach the trigger properly. Candidates watched, some smirking, some curious. Hendricks looked actively hostile. Since you all performed so brilliantly, Drake said, you get to watch Corporal Morrison's attempt. Maybe you'll learn something. Morrison took position, prone, elbows planted, rifle steady. She didn't rush, took time adjusting stock, checking scope, getting comfortable. Drake knelt beside her. First time on this range? Yes, sir. Wind's tricky here. Comes off the ocean, funnels through the canyon. Can't trust instruments. You have to read it. How, sir? Drake pointed at grass along the berm. Watch how it moves. See that section at 400 yards? Barely moving. But at 500, it's whipping. That's where your bullet starts to drift. She studied the grass, eyes tracking across the range, reading invisible patterns. Billy Morrison's daughter. Of course she could read wind. Ready, Corporal? Yes, sir. Commence firing. She took a breath, let it out slowly. Finger moved to trigger. First shot rang out. Through binoculars, Drake saw the target. Dead center. Perfect hit. Morrison chambered another round. Same breath control. Same smooth trigger pull. Second shot, center mass. Third shot, center mass. Candidate stopped smirking. Fourth shot, center mass. Fifth shot, center mass. Drake lowered binoculars. Cease fire. Morrison lifted her head. Sir, I have 5 shots remaining. I know. Let's make this more interesting. 800 yards. A whisper ran through candidates. 800 yards was expert level. Half couldn't hit at that range. 5 shots, 3 hits minimum. You'll need to calculate holdover and windage. Understand? Yes, sir. Morrison adjusted position. Drake watched her eyes. She wasn't looking at the target. She was looking at grass, heat shimmer, the way air bent light at distance, reading the environment, just like her father taught her. First shot at 800 yards. Hit. Top right of center mass. Morrison made a tiny scope adjustment. Breathing slowed. Drake could see her pulse, slow, steady, maybe 60 beats per minute. Most people under pressure would be over 100. Second shot. Hit, center mass. Third shot. Hit, center mass. Fourth shot. Hit, headshot. Fifth shot. Hit, headshot. Morrison cleared her weapon and stood. Face showed nothing. No pride, no satisfaction, professional calm. Silence on the range. Drake walked to her position. Where'd you learn to shoot like that? My father, sir. Billy Morrison. She blinked. You knew him, sir? Met him once. Helmand, 2011. He saved my team. Drake paused. He was the best I ever saw. And Corporal, you just shot better than 24 SEAL candidates. 5 for 5 at 800 yards with wind you've never read before. Your father would be proud. For just a moment, her mask cracked. Eyes glistened. Then professional composure returned. Thank you, sir. Drake turned to candidates. You just witnessed what happens when you pay attention to fundamentals. Morrison didn't make that look easy because she's lucky. She made it look easy because she understands environment, reads wind, calculates holdover, controls breathing. You know, all the things I've been teaching for 6 weeks. Hendricks raised his hand. Sir, with respect, this is a SEAL course. She's a Marine. Why is she here? Good question. Drake had wondered the same. Because the Navy has decided to test whether women can perform at special operations level. Corporal Morrison is that test. She'll train alongside you, be held to the same standards. No special treatment, no lowered expectations. If she fails, she fails. If she succeeds, Drake looked at Morrison. Well, that'll be interesting. Dismissed. 0600 tomorrow. Hendricks, my office after formation. Candidates scattered. Morrison stood at attention, waiting. At ease, Corporal. Walk with me. They left the range toward the admin building. Afternoon sun dipped toward the ocean. You're going to have a rough time, Drake said. I know, sir. These men don't want you here. Some because they're sexist. Some because they genuinely believe women can't handle physical demands. And some because they're scared you'll prove them wrong. Which one are you, sir? Drake stopped, looked at her. She met his eyes without fear. Honestly, I don't know yet. I've never trained a woman for combat operations. But I'll tell you this. I don't care if you're male, female, or a trained chimpanzee. If you can do the job, you belong. If you can't, you don't. Simple. Fair enough, sir. They reached the admin building. Drake stopped at the door. Your father. IED attack, Hellman, 2012, right? Yes, sir. How old were you? 14. That's rough. I'm sorry. Thank you, sir. Is that why you're here? Because of him? Morrison was quiet. When she spoke, her voice was softer. My father believed in service, in protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. He died doing that. She looked up. I want to be good enough to save people the way he did, not to prove anything, just to be worthy of his legacy. Drake felt something crack in his chest. He'd lost teammates, friends, brothers. He knew the weight of carrying the dead. Your father made a shot that saved my entire team. I owe him my life. Drake extended his hand. So I'll make you a deal. You work harder than everyone else. You prove you belong, and I'll train you the same way I trained Billy Morrison himself. No mercy, no special treatment, just excellence. Deal? She shook his hand, surprisingly strong grip. Deal, sir. Good. Get out of here. Tomorrow, 0600, we start real training. And Corporal, get sleep. You're going to need it. She saluted and left. Drake watched her go. 5'3", 118 pounds, looking like a strong breeze could knock her over. She just outshot 24 Navy SEAL candidates. Billy Morrison's daughter. This was either going to be Naval Special Warfare's best decision or worst. Drake called Admiral Patterson. Well, she can shoot. I know. What do you think overall? Drake watched Morrison disappear around the corner. I think if she survives the next 6 months, she's going to make history. And if she doesn't? Then we tried, Drake paused. But Admiral, my gut says she'll make it. She's got her father's eyes. Cold, calculating, and something else. What? She's got nothing to lose. That makes her dangerous. Drake hung up and headed home. Tomorrow would be hell. Candidates would test her, push her, try to break her. And Drake would watch, waiting to see if Billy Morrison's daughter was made of the same steel. He had a feeling he already knew the answer. But in warfare, feelings don't mean shit. Only results matter. The first week was designed to break her. 0600 hours, day 2. Candidates assembled on the grinder, concrete pad where countless SEALs had suffered through PT. Morrison stood in formation. the only woman among 24 men, wearing Navy PT gear that hung loose on her small frame. Hendricks stood 2 positions down. Drake saw him whisper something. Both men smirked. Attention! Today we test baseline fitness. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 20 pull-ups, 4-mile run. Standards are the same for everyone. Morrison, you're held to male standards, not female. Understood? Yes, sir. On the ground, push-up position. Begin. 25 bodies dropped. Drake walked among them, counting. Morrison's form was perfect. Full extension, chest to ground, back straight. Thin but wiry arms moved with controlled precision. 15, 16, 17. Hendricks blazed through reps, making it look easy. He glanced at Morrison, clearly expecting her to struggle. She wasn't struggling. 40, 41, 42. Some bigger candidates were slowing, arms shaking, form degrading. Morrison kept going, same pace, same control. 70, 71. She's gonna fail, Hendricks muttered loud enough for Morrison to hear. No way she makes 100. Morrison didn't respond, didn't glance over, just kept pumping out push-ups. 98, 99, 100, recover. All 25 stood, most breathing hard. Morrison's face was flushed, but breathing controlled. Sit-ups, begin. Drake watched her knock out 100 sit-ups in 3 minutes. Then pull-ups. Her small frame was actually an advantage here. Less weight to lift. She cranked out 20 while bigger men struggled with 18 or 19. The 4-mile run was where Drake expected her to break. Candidates took off in a pack. Hendricks and 3 others surged to front, setting punishing pace. 6-minute miles. Most couldn't sustain it. Morrison settled into the middle. Smart, don't blow yourself out chasing rabbits. Mile 1, 7 minutes. Mile 2, 7 minutes, 10 seconds. By mile 3, the pack had spread. Hendricks still led, running angry, trying to prove something. Morrison had moved to 5th position. Drake watched from the finish. Lead runners came in at 24 minutes. Good, not exceptional. Morrison crossed at 28 minutes, 10th overall. She doubled over, hands on knees, sucking air. But she'd passed every standard. Hendricks jogged to his buddies, still fresh. Not bad for a girl, almost kept up. Morrison straightened, wiped sweat from her face, walked past without a word. Hey, Hendricks called. I'm talking to you. She stopped, turned. Was there something you needed, candidate Hendricks? Just wondering how long before you quit. Week? Maybe 2? I won't quit. Sure you won't. Look, nothing personal, but this isn't a place for women. You're taking a slot from someone who deserves it. Morrison's blue eyes went cold. You mean someone like you? Yeah, like me. Candidate Hendricks. Drake's voice made them both jump. Unless you want to run another 4 miles, shut your mouth and get to the showers. Sir, I know what you were doing. If I catch you sabotaging Morrison's training, you'll be gone so fast your head will spin. This program is about excellence, not your fragile ego. Clear? Hendricks' jaw clenched. Crystal clear, sir. Good. Dismissed. Candidates scattered. Morrison remained at attention. At ease, Corporal. Drake walked closer. You handled that well. He doesn't bother me, sir. He will, and so will the others. They'll test you in ways you can't imagine. Drake paused. You know why? Because I'm different. No, because you're good, and that scares them. Drake glanced toward barracks. Excellence makes mediocre men angry. Remember that. Over the next 3 weeks, Morrison proved herself again and again. On the rifle range, she consistently outshot everyone. 600 yards, 800, 1,000, didn't matter. She'd calculate windage, adjust for bullet drop, control breathing, put rounds exactly where needed. Candidates stopped laughing by week 2. By week 3, some asked her for advice. How do you read winds so well? Candidate Walsh asked one afternoon. Decent shooter, just inconsistent. Morrison was cleaning her rifle, methodical and careful. My father taught me to watch grass, not just at your target, but all the way downrange. Wind isn't constant. It flows like water. You need to see the current. Walsh nodded, absorbing this. Your father was a Marine sniper, right? Scout sniper, best in his generation. How'd he die? The question hung. Morrison's hands stopped for just a second, then resumed cleaning. IED, Helmand Province. Taliban waited until he was moving positions, then detonated. Her voice was flat, emotionless. He died instantly, didn't suffer. I'm sorry. Don't be. He died doing what he loved. Morrison looked up. Now let me see your rifle. Your trigger control is sloppy. Drake watched from his office window. Morrison was earning respect the hard way, through competence. Candidates were starting to see her as teammate, not outsider. All except Hendricks. Week 4 brought close quarters battle training, room clearing, hostage rescue, live fire in tight spaces, where size and strength mattered. Morrison struggled. First drill, breach door, clear 3 rooms, neutralize targets without hitting hostages. Candidates wore full tactical gear, 60 pounds of body armor, weapons, ammunition. Morrison looked like a child playing dress-up. Plate carrier hung loose. Helmet wobbled. She could barely move. This is a problem, Drake told her privately. Gear doesn't fit. You can't operate effectively. I'll make it work, sir. It's not about willpower. It's physics. You need gear that fits your frame. 2 days to get properly sized equipment from a specialty manufacturer. Smaller plates, adjusted carrier, custom helmet. Cost a fortune. Drake didn't care. With new gear, the difference was night and day. She could move, react, shoot. Room clearing drill. Breach, pie the corner, engage threats, move to next room. Morrison flowed through like water. Small size was an advantage. Better use of cover, smaller target, movement through tight spaces bigger candidates couldn't navigate. Her time, 42 seconds. 0 hostage casualties, all threats neutralized. Hendricks' time, 45 seconds, 1 hostage hit. The smirk on Hendricks' face died when he saw scores. That night, something broke inside him. Drake was finishing paperwork when he heard shouting from the armory. He grabbed his sidearm and ran. Inside, Morrison stood over her disassembled M4, parts scattered. Hendricks stood across from her, arms crossed. What's going on? Nothing, sir, Hendricks said. Just conversation. Drake looked at Morrison. Her face was tight with anger. Corporal? Candidate Hendricks was offering unsolicited advice on weapon maintenance, sir. That's so? Drake walked to the workbench. Morrison's rifle was field stripped, but something was wrong. Bolt carrier group assembled incorrectly. Firing pin backwards. If she'd tried to fire, it could have exploded in her face. Drake picked up the bolt carrier, looked at Hendricks. You did this. Sir, I don't know what. Don't. Drake's voice went arctic. I've been doing this 36 years. I know sabotage when I see it. You reassembled her weapon incorrectly. On purpose. Hendricks went pale. Sir, tomorrow you have qualification. If Morrison had fired this, it would have blown up. She could have lost her hand, her face, could have died. Drake stepped closer. So I'm asking once, did you sabotage her rifle? Silence. Then Morrison spoke. Sir, I'd like to handle this myself. Drake turned. What? This is between me and candidate Hendricks. She looked at him. You want to prove I don't belong? Fine. Tomorrow's qualification. You and me. Same targets, same distance. Whoever scores higher stays. Whoever loses requests transfer. Corporal, that's not how. I'm volunteering, sir. My choice. Hendricks found his voice. You serious? Completely. Unless you're scared? The challenge hung. Hendricks looked at Drake, then Morrison. Pride wouldn't let him back down. You're on. Drake wanted to stop this, should have, but he saw something in Morrison's eyes, the same cold certainty her father possessed. Fine, tomorrow, 1400 hours, 500 meters, 10 moving targets. Best score wins. But Hendricks, if you lose, you're gone. If I catch you sabotaging equipment again, you'll face court-martial. Clear? Yes, sir. Both of you get out. They left. Drake stood, holding the sabotaged bolt carrier. 36 years, and he still underestimated how petty fear could make people. Next afternoon, the entire class assembled. Word had spread. This wasn't just qualification, it was a duel. Hendricks went first. He was good, Drake admitted. Targets moved at 15 miles per hour, crossing at various angles. Difficult shots requiring leading the target, compensating for movement. Hendricks hit 9 out of 10, 88 points out of possible 100. Solid, professional level. Candidates cheered. Hendricks stood, confident, glanced at Morrison. Your turn. Morrison took position, checked her rifle, newly assembled, triple-checked by Drake personally, adjusted scope, settled into firing position. Targets began moving. First shot, center mass, 10 points. Second shot, center mass, 10 points. Third shot, headshot, 12 points. By fifth shot, the range had gone silent. Morrison wasn't just hitting targets. She was picking exactly where to hit. Center mass for closer ones, headshots for distant. 10th shot, headshot, target at maximum range, moving perpendicular at full speed. Perfect score. 104 points out of 100 possible. Morrison cleared weapon and stood. Looked at Hendricks. I believe you have a transfer request to file. Hendricks' face went through emotions. Anger, humiliation, disbelief. Then, surprisingly, something like respect. How did you? My father taught me to shoot elk in Montana. They move faster than your targets and don't run straight lines. Morrison's expression softened. You're a good shooter, Hendricks, but you're so busy trying to prove I don't belong that you forgot to focus on your own performance. She walked past, stopped. I don't want you to transfer. I want you to stay, get better, and remember that excellence has nothing to do with gender. It's about skill, dedication, and leaving your ego at the door. Hendricks stood silent, then did something Drake didn't expect. Extended his hand. You're right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Morrison shook it. Apology accepted. Now let's both get better. Drake watched with something approaching pride. This was what the teams were supposed to be about. Not politics or prejudice. Warriors respecting warriors. That evening, Drake's phone rang. Admiral Patterson. How's it going with Morrison? She just outshot my best candidate and turned him from enemy into ally. Good, because I need to brief you on something classified. Skiff Alpha in 30 minutes. Skiff, sensitive, compartmented information facility. Soundproof, bug-proof, where real secrets lived. Drake arrived 28 minutes later. Patterson waited with a man Drake didn't recognize. Late 40s, suit and tie, unmistakable CIA bearing. Mason Drake, this is Marcus Webb, CIA, Special Activities Division. They shook hands. Webb's grip was firm, professional. Commander, I've heard good things. Don't believe them. What's this about? Patterson pulled up a digital file. A photograph appeared. Middle Eastern male, late 30s, beard, hard eyes. Rashid al-Mashadi, ISIS-K commander, responsible for 12 major terror attacks, 300+ casualties. Been on our target list 2 years. And you haven't killed him because? Because he's smart, Webb said. Moves constantly, uses body doubles, stays off electronic communications. We've tried drone strikes. He hides in caves. We sent Delta last year. They got ambushed. 3 KIA. Drake studied the photo. What's changed? We have a solid location. Hindu Kush Mountains, Afghanistan-Pakistan border. Compound at 9,000 feet elevation. But there's a problem. Patterson pulled up satellite imagery. Compound sat on mountainside, surrounded by steep terrain. 40 fighters minimum, natural defenses. Previous drone strikes failed because of cave system. Ground assault is suicide. Only one approach, completely exposed. So you want a sniper mission. Not just any sniper mission. Webb leaned forward. Compound is 1,420 yards from nearest viable shooting position. Extreme long range. Downhill angle. Variable mountain winds. It's a shot maybe 10 people in the world could make. Drake saw where this was going. And you want Morrison. Her father held third longest confirmed kill in Marine Corps history. 2147 yards. We've watched her train. She has his talent. She's never been in combat. This would be her first real mission. Which is why you'll lead the team, Patterson said. 8 operators. You pick them. Morrison is primary sniper. But Mason, this needs to happen in 3 weeks. Al-Mashadi is moving locations. This is our window. Drake walked to the map, studied terrain. 1,400 yards. Downhill. Mountain winds. He shook his head. That's nearly a mile. At that distance, Coriolis effect comes into play. Earth's rotation affects the bullet. Temperature, altitude, humidity, everything matters. And she'd be shooting at a target she's never seen, in conditions she's never experienced, with zero room for error. Can she do it? Drake thought about Morrison, her cold focus, perfect breathing control, the way she read wind like her father taught her. I don't know, but if anyone can, it's her. Then you're green lit. Assemble your team. 3 weeks to train for this specific mission. Then you deploy. Drake nodded slowly. One condition. What? I tell Morrison myself, and I give her the choice. She's not ready, she can say no. No consequences. Patterson and Webb exchanged looks. Agreed. Drake found Morrison in the barracks, cleaning her rifle. Again. She cleaned weapons the way monks prayed. Constant, meditative, reverent. Corporal, walk with me. They went outside. Sun was setting over the Pacific, painting sky in oranges and purples. Beautiful. Drake wondered if they both see another sunset like this. I have something to tell you, and you're not going to like it. Morrison's face was neutral. Sir, you're being deployed. Real mission, real combat. 3 weeks from now. Where? Afghanistan, Hindu Kush Mountains. Target is high-value ISIS-K commander. You'd be primary sniper. What's the range? 1,420 yards, give or take. Morrison was quiet. When she spoke, her voice was careful. Sir, I've never shot in combat. Longest I've made in training is 1,200 yards. This is insane? Yeah, I know. Which is why I'm giving you choice. You can say no. No one will blame you. This mission would be suicide for most snipers. Who else could make the shot? Honestly, maybe 5 people on Earth. Your father was one of them. Morrison stared at the ocean. Waves rolled in, eternal and indifferent. If I say no, what happens? We find someone else. Maybe they make the shot. Maybe they don't. But 300 people are alive today who wouldn't be if Al-Mashadi continues operating. And if I miss? Drake met her eyes. Then my team dies. All of us. Because we'll be exposed 14,000 feet up a mountain, surrounded by hostiles. One shot, that's all you get. That's a lot of pressure, sir. More pressure than anyone should carry, which is why I'll understand if you say no. Morrison turned from the ocean, looked at Drake. My father died protecting people. I joined the military to do the same. If I say no because I'm scared, then I'm not worthy of his legacy. This isn't about legacy. This is about survival. With respect, sir, those are the same thing. Morrison straightened. I'll do it. I'll make the shot. You haven't even heard the full briefing. Don't need to. You're asking if I can make a 1,400-yard shot to save lives. The answer is yes, sir. I'll make it, or I'll die trying. Drake saw Billy Morrison in her eyes again. That absolute certainty, that refusal to accept failure. God help them all. Okay, tomorrow we start mission-specific training. And Morrison? Drake put a hand on her shoulder. Your father once saved my entire team with a shot through an 8-inch window. If you're half as good as him, we'll be fine. And if I'm not, sir? Drake smiled grimly. Then we'll die together, which, honestly, is how it should be. Next morning, Drake assembled his team. 7 operators, each the best in their field. Men he'd trust with his life. Men he'd fought beside for years. Master Chief James Dalton walked in first, 41 years old, 6'2", 210, built like a freight train. Drake's best friend for 18 years. Boss, thick Boston accent. Heard we got something interesting. That's one word for it. Have a seat. Lieutenant Brennan McAllister arrived next. 32, Scottish heritage, genius with communications and technology. Red hair, slight build, could hack anything with a signal. Petty Officer First Class Nathaniel Whitmore was the medic. 38, graying temples, calm as frozen lake. Former Army Ranger who'd switched to SEALs 5 years back. Saved 23 lives in documented combat. Chief Petty Officer Sterling Webb was secondary sniper. 35, lean and wiry, from Wyoming. 47 confirmed kills before this mission. Professional, competitive, very good. Petty Officer Second Class Garrett Ashford handled demolitions. 29, from Connecticut, MIT engineering degree. Smart, cocky, brilliant with explosives. Petty Officer Second Class Colton Beckett was point man. 28, Montana native, tracker and wilderness survival expert. Quiet, observant, absolutely lethal. The last to arrive was Morrison. She walked in, saw 7 male SEALs, took a seat without hesitation. Dalton glanced at Drake, eyebrow raised. Drake gave a tiny nod. Trust me. Gentlemen, Corporal, Drake began. You're here because you're the best at what you do. In 3 weeks, we deploy to Afghanistan for direct action against a high-value target. This mission is classified top secret. If you can't commit, leave now. No one moved. Good. Target is Rashid al-Mashadi, ISIS-K commander, responsible for 300 deaths. He's hiding in a compound in Hindu Kush, 9,000 feet elevation, surrounded by 40-plus fighters. We can't drone strike because of caves. Can't assault because approach is a kill zone. Drake pulled up satellite imagery. So we're going to snipe him. From here, he pointed to a ridge. 1,423 yards, downhill angle, extreme long range. Dalton whistled. That's almost a mile, boss. I'm aware. Corporal Morrison is primary sniper. Webb, your spotter. Everyone else provides security and exfil. Webb spoke. Sir, has Morrison ever made a shot that far? In training? 1,400 yards, perfect conditions. In combat? No, this will be her first. Silence. Her first mission is a 1,400-yard shot? Dalton looked incredulous. Morrison stood. If I could address the team, sir. Drake nodded. She turned to face them. I know what you're thinking. I'm 26, never been in combat, being asked to make an impossible shot. You're right to be skeptical. But my father was Staff Sergeant William Morrison, Marine Scout Sniper. He made a 21 47-yard kill in Afghanistan. He taught me everything he knew. And Commander Drake has been training me for 6 months. She paused. I can make this shot. And I will make this shot. Because if I don't, you all die. And I refuse to let that happen. Silence. Then Dalton started laughing. Big, booming laughter that filled the room. Kid, you got balls, I'll give you that. He stood, walked over, extended his hand. James Dalton, call me Reaper. If Drake says you can shoot, that's good enough for me. One by one, the others introduced themselves. By the end, Morrison had been accepted. Not because of gender, because of skill and guts. The next 2 weeks were hell. They trained specifically for this mission. Altitude conditioning, cold weather operations, extreme long-range shooting. Drake pushed them 12 hours a day, every day. Morrison struggled with altitude training. Running at 9,000 feet with thin air was brutal. She'd finish every session gasping, sometimes vomiting from oxygen deprivation. But she never quit. Webb worked with her on shooting. They'd set up at 1,200 yards, then 13, then 14. Morrison would calculate windage, elevation, Coriolis effect. Webb would spot, call corrections. They became a team. Wind 4 o'clock, 8 miles per hour, Webb would say. Copy, adjusting .6 mils right. Morrison's voice always calm. Target moving, lead 3 feet. Got it. Shot. Impact. Hit. Again and again and again. By week 2, Morrison was consistent at 1,400 yards. Not perfect. Extreme long range could never be perfect, but consistent enough. The team bonded during downtime. Evenings around campfire after brutal training. They'd share stories, jokes, dark humor that combat veterans use to cope with stress. Dalton told a story about Iraq, getting pinned in Ramadi. So there we were, 3 guys, 50 insurgents, and someone, I won't say who, accidentally drops a thermite grenade on our own vehicle. It was an accident, Ashford protested. You threw it backwards. The team laughed. Even Morrison cracked a smile. Later, Whitmore asked about her father. He died in Helmand, IED attack. I was 14. That's rough, kid. I'm sorry. Don't be. He died protecting others. That's what we do. Dalton looked at her with new respect. Your old man, Billy Morrison, the 21-47 shot. That true? Confirmed kill. Taliban commander, extreme range, high wind. Runs in the family, huh? Morrison touched dog tags around her neck, her father's tags. I hope so. On day 12, Drake received a call that changed everything. Sarah Mitchell, retired CIA analyst, someone who'd fed him intel for 20 years. Mason, we need to talk. Privately. They met at a coffee shop in San Diego. Mitchell looked nervous. What's wrong? Your mission, Operation Silent Eagle, it's been compromised. Drake's blood went cold. What? 3 previous missions against al-Mashadi all leaked. Someone in chain of command is feeding intel to ISIS-K. I've been tracking the pattern. She slid over a folder. Every mission that got compromised had the same 5 people with access within 48 hours of deployment. Drake opened the folder. 5 names. He knew them all. Trusted colleagues, friends. One name made his heart stop. Colonel Richard Thornton, Army Intelligence. Drake had known Rick Thornton for 33 years. They'd met during Desert Storm. Rick had saved Drake's life when Iraqi patrol ambushed them. They'd been friends ever since. Brothers almost. No, Drake said, not Rick. Look at financial records, Shell Company payments. $2.3 million transferred to Swiss account in his name. Company traces back to ISIS financing network. Drake stared at evidence. 33 years of friendship. 33 years of trust. All a lie. If I report this, mission gets canceled. If you don't, your team walks into an ambush. Drake closed the folder. How much time before he can leak our mission details? 72 hours. That's when final operation order goes up the chain. Then we move before that, change the plan. Different insertion point, different timeline, different everything. And we tell no one. Mason, if you're wrong, I'm not wrong. Rick Thornton is the mole, and I'll prove it after we complete the mission. Drake stood. Thanks, Sarah. You may have just saved my team. That night, Drake called his team together, told them everything except the part about Thornton. Mission is compromised. We have to assume enemy knows we're coming, so we're changing everything. New insertion point 15 miles north, new approach route, new timeline. This information stays within this room. No one, And I mean no one outside this team knows the real plan. Dalton frowned. Boss, if there's a mole, I'll handle it after the mission. Right now I need you focused on keeping us alive. Morrison spoke. Sir, if they know we're coming, won't they reinforce the compound? They'll reinforce the old approach. We're coming from a different direction. They won't see us until it's too late. And if they do? Drake met her eyes. Then we adapt and overcome, like we always do. Final week of training was intense. They rehearsed the new plan until they could execute it blind. Every contingency, every backup, every escape route. On the last night before deployment, Drake found Morrison alone on the range, shooting in the dark. Can't sleep? No, sir. Worried about the mission? Morrison lowered her rifle. Worried I'll miss. Worried I'll let everyone down. Drake sat beside her. Your father told me something once. Helmand, 2011, right before that 1,200-yard shot that saved my team. What did he say? He said fear is just oxygen debt. When you're scared, you're not breathing right. So you breathe, slow down your heart, and fear goes away. Drake paused. He also said the shot doesn't care if you're scared. It only cares if you do your job. Morrison smiled slightly. That sounds like him. He was right, about everything. And Morrison? Drake stood. You're going to make that shot tomorrow. Not because you have to, but because you're Billy Morrison's daughter, and excellence is in your blood. And if I'm not good enough, then we die. But honestly, Drake looked up at stars. I'd rather die with you trying than live knowing we didn't try at all. Morrison stood, gathered her rifle. Thank you, sir, for believing in me. Thank you for being worth believing in. Now get sleep. Tomorrow we go to war. As Morrison walked away, Drake pulled out his phone, sent a single encrypted message to Admiral Patterson. Colonel Richard Thornton is the mole. Arrest him the moment we're wheels up. Evidence attached. He attached Sarah Mitchell's files, then deleted the message from his phone. Tomorrow they'd be airborne, heading toward Afghanistan, toward a mission that might be a trap, toward a shot that might be impossible. But they were SEALs. Impossible was just another word for Tuesday. The Chinook helicopter cut through night sky at 200 feet, flying nap of the earth to avoid radar. Inside, 8 operators sat in near darkness, each lost in their own thoughts. Mason Drake checked his watch. 0200 hours. Helicopter would drop them 15 miles from target in a valley Taliban rarely patrolled. From there, brutal overland march through unforgiving terrain. He looked at his team. Dalton checked breaching charges for the 3rd time. Whitmore inventoried medical supplies. McAllister monitored enemy communications. Ashford and Beckett sat with eyes closed, catching sleep. Webb and Morrison sat together, going over the shot one final time. 1,423 yards, Webb said, voice barely audible over helicopter noise. Elevation difference 400 feet. Temperature at target altitude will be 38 degrees. Humidity 35%. Morrison nodded. Barometric pressure 25.84 inches. We're shooting in thin air. Bullet will behave differently than sea level. Less air resistance, flatter trajectory, but also less stability. Morrison's eyes were distant, calculating. I'll need to account for increased wind drift. Wind is the killer at this range. Mountain winds are unpredictable. Funnel through valleys, swirl around peaks. You can't trust instruments. So I read the environment, like my father taught me. Webb studied her face. You really think you can make this shot? Morrison met his eyes. I have to. No other choice. That's not an answer. It's the only answer that matters. Pilot's voice crackled through headsets. 2 minutes to LZ, weather deteriorating, visibility half-mile, wind gusting to 25. Drake keyed his mic. Copy, we're ready. They weren't ready. No one was ever ready for this. But SEALs didn't wait for perfect conditions. Chinook flared, touching down in cloud of dust and snow. Ramp dropped. Go, go, go! 8 operators poured out into Afghan night. Helicopter lifted immediately, disappearing into darkness. Within 30 seconds, sound of rotors faded to nothing. Silence. Then wind hit them. Bitter cold cutting through layers. Altitude made every breath feel insufficient. Morrison doubled over, gasping. 7,500 feet. Her lungs screamed for oxygen that wasn't there. Whitmore put a hand on her shoulder. Breathe slow, small breaths. Your body will adjust. She nodded, forcing calm. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Heart rate gradually decreased. Good, Whitmore said. You'll be okay. Dalton took point. Beckett second, using night vision to scan for threats. Team moved in tactical formation, weapons ready, every sense alert. The march was hell. 15 miles doesn't sound like much, but 15 miles at altitude, in dark, over broken terrain, carrying 80 pounds. Different story. By hour 3, everyone was suffering. Even Dalton, built like a tank, was breathing hard. Morrison's small frame struggled with weight. Drake saw her stumble twice, but she never complained, just kept moving. Hour 6, 9 miles covered, sun starting to rise, painting mountains in gold and amber. Beautiful and deadly. Hold, Beckett whispered. Team froze. Beckett pointed down trail. 200 meters ahead, 3 figures moved along ridgeline. Taliban scouts. Drake raised his fist. Team went prone, invisible against rocks. Taliban scouts passed within 50 meters, talking casually in Pashto. McAllister listened through translation software, whispering to Drake. They're discussing the compound, something about American soldiers coming today. Drake's blood went cold. They knew. Despite changing the plan, enemy knew. Scouts moved on. After 10 minutes, Beckett gave all clear. Drake gathered team. They know we're coming. This is a trap. We aboard? Dalton asked. Negative. We came to do a job. Drake looked at each. But from here on, assume everything's compromised. We go to ground, wait for nightfall, then approach from unexpected angle. What about the shot? Webb asked. If they're expecting us at primary position, then we shoot from somewhere else. Drake pulled out map. Secondary ridge here, 1,850 yards. Longer range, worse angle, but they won't be watching it. Morrison's eyes widened. Sir, 1850 is beyond what you've trained for, I know, but it's also beyond what they expect. Can you make it? She was quiet. I don't know. Fair enough. We'll decide when we see the position. For now, we need cover. They moved into cave system Beckett had identified from satellite imagery. Natural concealment, good fields of fire, water source. They'd wait out the day, rest, move at night. Drake took first watch while others tried to sleep. Morrison sat beside him, unable to rest. Talk to me, Drake said quietly. About what, sir? Whatever's keeping you awake. Morrison pulled out her father's dog tags. He made a 21-47-yard shot. Everyone knows about it. It's legend. But no one talks about all the shots he missed. All the times he failed. Your father failed? Of course, everyone fails. But he didn't let failure define him. She turned tags over in her hands. I'm scared I'm not as good as him. That I'll miss tomorrow and prove everyone right who said women don't belong in combat. Drake was quiet. Your father and I had a conversation once. After he saved my team, I asked how he stayed calm under pressure. Know what he said? What? He said pressure is a privilege. It means someone trusts you enough to give you the hard jobs. Most people never get that trust. Drake looked at Morrison. Tomorrow you'll have the weight of 7 lives in your hands. That's terrifying, but it's also the highest form of respect. We're trusting you with our lives because we believe you're capable. And if I'm not, then we die together, doing something that mattered. There are worse ways to go. Morrison smiled slightly. You're not very good at inspirational speeches, sir. Yeah, I know, but I'm honest. And honest truth is, I've seen a lot of snipers in 36 years. Your father was the best. But Morrison, you might be better. That's impossible. Is it? You outshoot everyone in your class. You read wind like you can see it. You calculate faster than computers. And you have something your father never had. What's that? Something to prove. Your father was already a legend. He could coast on reputation. But you? You have to earn every inch of respect. That makes you sharper, hungrier, better. Morrison looked at her father's tags. I hope you're right, sir. So do I, kid. So do I. Day passed slowly. Team rested in shifts. McAllister monitored enemy communications, piecing together intelligence. Sir, he said quietly to Drake, intercepting a lot of chatter. They're expecting attack tonight. They've positioned snipers on North Ridge. That's our primary shooting position. How many? 3 teams, 6 shooters total. Dalton swore. They're covering the exact spot we planned, which confirms we're going to secondary position, Drake said. 1850 yards. Longer shot, but they won't see it coming. Webb shook his head. Sir, 1850 that's third longest confirmed kill in history range. Morrison's never attempted anything close. She has now. Drake stood. Beckett, scout route to secondary position. I want to know every rock, every gully, every piece of cover. We move at 2200 hours. Sun set behind mountains, plunging world into darkness. Team geared up in silence, checking weapons, adjusting equipment, preparing for what might be their last mission. Morrison assembled her M40A5 with practiced precision. Scope mounted, bore sighted, checked and rechecked. She loaded 5 rounds, federal gold medal match, 175 grain. Same ammunition her father used. Ready? Webb asked. No, but let's go anyway. They moved out at 2200 hours. Temperature had dropped to 20 degrees. Wind howled through mountains, carrying snow and ice. Visibility less than 100 meters. Perfect for approach, terrible for shooting. Secondary position was a rocky outcrop on far side of valley. To reach it, they had to cross open ground for half a mile, completely exposed. If Taliban spotted them, they'd be cut down in seconds. Beckett led them across. Single file, moving during wind gusts when sound was masked. Took an hour to cover half a mile. But they made it. Outcrop gave clear view of compound. Drake raised binoculars. Lights blazed inside buildings. He counted over 60 fighters moving around. Double the intelligence estimate. This is bad, Dalton muttered. We're outnumbered 8-1. Doesn't matter, we're not fighting them. We're taking one shot and disappearing. Webb was setting up spotting scope, measured distance with laser rangefinder. 1,847 yards. Elevation difference 420 feet. Wind. He paused, watching grass and snow swirl. Wind is chaos. 15 to 25 miles per hour. Variable direction. Morrison settled into position beside him. Prone, rifle on small bipod, body aligned perfectly behind weapon. This is impossible, Webb said quietly. I know. Even your father couldn't make this shot, not in these conditions. I know. So why are we trying? Morrison looked through scope. Compound jumped into focus. She could see fighters moving inside, dark shapes against lit windows. Somewhere in there was al-Mashadi, the man responsible for 300 deaths. Because 7 good men are counting on me, and I'd rather die trying than live knowing I quit. Webb studied her face, saw the same ice-cold determination her father possessed. All right then, let's make history. Drake organized team into defensive perimeter. Dalton, Ashford, Beckett covering different approaches. Whitmore standing by with medical gear. McAllister monitoring enemy communications. Sir, McAllister said, picking up something strange. Encrypted transmission from... Wait, that's a U.S. military frequency. What? Someone just sent a message to the compound. Source is... Sir, it's Colonel Thornton. Drake's heart sank. Despite arrest order, somehow Thornton had gotten a message out. McAllister's face went pale. "Sir, the message says, American sniper team, North Ridge, 1,400 yards. Al-Mashadi, stay away from windows." "Shit." Drake grabbed radio. "Morrison, Webb, you hear that?" "Copy, sir." Morrison's voice was eerily calm. "They know we're here. They know what we're trying. Al-Mashadi won't show himself." Silence. Then Webb spoke. "Sir, I'm seeing movement. Convoy forming. 5 vehicles. They're evacuating." Drake raised binoculars. Sure enough, fighters were loading into Toyota trucks, getting ready to run. Range to convoy? From here, 1,900 yards, and they're moving. Moving target at 1,900 yards in variable wind. Impossible shot. Morrison's voice came through, steady as stone. "Sir, I can make it." "Morrison, that's—" "I know what it is, sir, but that convoy has Al-Mashadi. This is our only chance." Drake looked at Dalton. His old friend's face was grim. This was it. Do or die. "All right," Drake said. "Morrison, you have authorization. 1 shot. Make it count." Morrison adjusted position. Webb was calculating frantically. 1,900 yards. Target moving 30 miles per hour. Time of flight 3.2 seconds. You need to lead by, Jesus, 145 feet. Copy. Which vehicle? Intel says Al-Mashadi always rides 3rd vehicle. Always. Morrison found convoy in scope. 5 trucks, racing away. 3rd truck. She could see driver, passenger. But which was Al-Mashadi? Wind gusted. 25 miles per hour. Then dropped to 15. Then back to 20. "Wind is unstable," Webb said. "You can't—" "I can read it." Morrison was watching snow swirl, grass bend in distance, seeing patterns invisible to others. "Wind is 18 average, gusting to 25. I'll split the difference." She ran calculations in her head. Ballistics memorized over months. Bullet drop at 1,900 yards, 782 inches, 60 feet. Wind drift at 20 miles per hour, 58 inches. Coriolis effect, 4 inches. Spin drift, 6 inches. Total holdover, 65 feet up, 68 inches right. Lead for moving target, 145 feet. She adjusted scope, moved crosshair to a point in space where truck would be in 3.2 seconds, where a human head would be if target was sitting in passenger seat. Breathing slowed, 60 beats per minute, then 55. She remembered her father's words. "When you're scared, breathe. The shot doesn't care if you're scared." "Morrison," Drake's voice was tight, "we have maybe 30 seconds before they're out of range. If you're going to shoot, shoot now." Morrison's finger moved a trigger, first stage of pull, taking up slack. She could hear her heartbeat, slow, steady, rhythm of life. Wind gusted. She adjusted mentally. 2 more inches right. Convoy raced across field of view. 3rd truck. Passenger window. Dark shape inside. "If you miss, we die," Drake's words echoed. 7 men, 7 lives, balanced on this single shot. She thought of her father, the legend, the ghost, the man who'd taught her to read wind from grass movement, who'd made her shoot elk at 800 yards when she was 12, who'd died protecting others. "Make him proud," she whispered. She pulled the trigger. M48-5 roared. Recoil drove into her shoulder. Muzzle flash lit up the night. 3.2 seconds. Longest 3 seconds of Morrison's life. Webb was tracking through spotting scope. Flight time. Impact in 1, 2. 3rd truck swerved violently, crashed into ravine, exploded in fireball. "Hit!" Webb's voice cracked. "Jesus Christ, you hit the vehicle!" But Morrison wasn't celebrating. Still tracking through scope. "Confirm kill. I need visual confirmation." McAllister was on tablet, accessing drone feed. I have thermal, 2 bodies in vehicle. One matches al-Mashadi height and build. That's not confirmation. Morrison, you made the shot, Drake said. 1,900 yards, moving target, variable wind. You hit the damn vehicle. But is he dead? McAllister studied thermal imaging. Then his face went pale. Sir, target body is moving. He's alive. World stopped. 1,900 yards. Perfect calculation. Perfect execution. And target survived. How? Morrison's voice was hollow. You hit the driver, Webb said, understanding dawning. Truck crashed because you killed the driver. But al-Mashadi was in passenger seat. Crash injured him, but he's alive. Morrison watched through scope. Burning vehicle. Figure crawling out. Limping. Alive. She'd failed. 7 men were about to die because she'd missed by 3 feet. Morrison, Drake's voice was urgent. We need to move. Now. They know our position. They're sending fighters. But Morrison wasn't listening. She was calculating. Al-Mashadi was on foot, limping, moving slowly. Range was increasing as he moved away. 1,910 yards, 1,920. Wind had shifted, now coming from north. 15 miles per hour. She could make this shot. Morrison, we don't have time. Shut up, sir, with respect. Drake fell silent. He saw something in Morrison's eyes. The same look Billy Morrison had before making his legendary 21-47-yard shot. Absolute focus, complete certainty. Morrison tracked the limping figure. Al-Mashadi was moving uphill, away from burning vehicle. He'd be out of sight in seconds. Range, 1,930 yards. She didn't have time for perfect calculations. Had to go on instinct, on training, on 1,000 hours spent learning to read wind and distance and bullet drop. Her father's voice. At extreme range, you can't overthink. You have to feel the shot. She took a breath, let it out. Crosshairs settled on al-Mashadi's head, or rather, where his head would be in 3 seconds. She pulled the trigger. Bullet flew through night, 1,930 yards, over a mile, through swirling wind and thin mountain air. 3.3 seconds. Al-Mashadi took 2 more limping steps. Then his head exploded. He dropped like a puppet with cut strings. Hit, Webb was screaming. Holy shit, you got him. Headshot. 1,930 yards. McAllister confirmed through thermal. Target is down. No movement. No heat signature. He's dead. Morrison cleared weapon. Hands shaking now. Adrenaline catching up. Dalton grabbed her shoulder. Kid, that was the most insane thing I've ever seen. 2 shots, 1,900 yards, moving target, Jesus Christ. But there was no time for celebration. Contact, Beckett shouted. We've got fighters coming up East Slope, 20+ tangos, 400 meters in closing. Drake made the call. We can't fight that many. Time to run. Exfil Point is 5 miles south. Everyone move. Team abandoned position, running through darkness. Behind them, gunfire erupted. Bullets spanged off rocks. Taliban was closing. They ran for their lives. Morrison, small and light, was actually faster than bigger men over broken terrain. She pulled ahead with Beckett, but Dalton, carrying 80 pounds of gear, was falling behind. Go, he shouted. Don't wait for me. We don't leave anyone behind. Drake grabbed Dalton's arm, half pulling, half dragging. 4 miles to Exfil. Taliban 300 meters behind and closing. 3 miles. 250 meters. They're gaining, Ashford gasped. I know, keep moving. 2 miles. 200 meters. Webb stumbled, went down hard. Morrison stopped, pulled him up. Leave me, Webb said. I'm slowing you down. Shut up and run. 1 mile, 150 meters. They weren't going to make it. Then Morrison saw them. 25 Taliban fighters spread across valley, blocking path to Exfil Point. They'd been outflanked. Teams skidded to halt. Enemy behind, enemy in front. Trapped. Defensive positions, Drake ordered. We make our stand here. They took cover behind rocks. 7 men, 1 woman, surrounded by 60-plus Taliban. Drake looked at his team. These men who'd trusted him, who'd followed him into hell. I'm sorry, he said. I got you killed. Shut up, boss. Dalton chambered around. We knew the job was dangerous. Taliban were closing. 300 meters. 250. Morrison was setting up her rifle again. Calm. Focused. Morrison, what are you doing? Drake asked. Saving us. There's too many. Even you can't. Watch me. She looked through scope. 25 fighters, 800 yards, scattered across valley floor. This was impossible, even for her. But she was Billy Morrison's daughter. And Morrison's didn't believe in impossible. She took a breath. First shot. Center fighter. Headshot. Down. Chamber another round. 1 second. Second shot. Left flank. Center mass. Down. Chamber. 1 second. Third shot. Right flank. Headshot. Down. Taliban fighters were scattering, diving for cover, but there was no cover in valley. They were exposed. Fourth shot. Down. Fifth shot. Down. Webb was watching through binoculars. She's not human. She can't be human. Morrison reloaded. 5 seconds. Hands moving faster than thought. Sixth shot. Down. Seventh shot. Down. Eighth shot. Down. Taliban fighters were panicking, running, but Morrison tracked them with mechanical precision. Ninth shot. Moving target. Lead 3 feet. Down. 10th shot. Down. 11th shot. Down. Drake was counting. 12 down. 13. 14. Morrison's breathing never changed. In. Out. Shoot. Chamber. Shoot. 15. 16. 17. Remaining Taliban fighters were fleeing, running back toward compound. Morrison tracked the last 5. Running uphill, moving fast. Difficult shots. She didn't care. 18th shot. 820 yards. Moving target. Down. 19th shot. Down. 20th shot. Down. 21st shot. Down. 1 fighter left. Running hard. 850 yards and increasing. Morrison tracked him. Led by 4 feet. Squeezed trigger. 20-second shot. Fighter dropped. Silence. 22 Taliban fighters down. 800 yards. Less than 30 seconds of shooting. Morrison cleared weapon. Stood. Legs shaking. We need to move, she said quietly. More will come. Team stared at her. Even Drake was speechless. Finally, Ashford broke silence. What the fuck did we just witness? The birth of a legend, Dalton said softly. They ran the last mile to exfil. Helicopter was waiting, rotor spinning. They piled in, exhausted, bleeding, alive. As Chinook lifted off, Drake looked at Morrison. She sat with rifle across lap, staring at nothing. You okay, kid? She didn't answer for a long moment. Then, I killed 22 people tonight, sir. I don't feel okay. But you saved 7. That's what matters. Is it? Drake didn't have an answer. He'd killed a lot of people in 36 years. It never got easier, never felt right. You just learned to live with it. Your father would be proud, he said finally. Morrison touched her father's dog tags. I hope so, sir. I really hope so. Helicopter flew south, toward safety, toward home. Behind them, Hindu Kush mountains faded into darkness. Mission was over. They'd won. But victory never felt like movies. It felt like exhaustion and blood and weight of the dead. 2 weeks later, Drake stood in Admiral Patterson's office. Debriefing had taken days. Mission was being classified, locked in vaults where most would never know it happened. Colonel Thornton has been arrested, Patterson said. Evidence of his treason is overwhelming. He'll spend the rest of his life in military prison. Drake nodded. 33 years of friendship ended by betrayal. It hurt more than any bullet wound. Al-Mashadi's death confirmed. DNA analysis. He's dead. Intelligence suggests his network is collapsing. You saved hundreds of lives, Mason. Morrison saved hundreds of lives. I just drove. Patterson smiled. Speaking of Morrison, she's being promoted. Sergeant, and she's been accepted into Naval Special Warfare Sniper School. Full scholarship. First woman ever admitted. She earned it. More than earned it. Mason, what she did, the 1,930-yard kill is now third longest confirmed kill in U.S. military history. And 22 kills in under 30 seconds is fastest multiple target engagement ever recorded in combat. Drake thought about that night. Morrison's ice-cold precision, absolute focus, the way she'd saved them all. She's better than her father, Drake said quietly. Billy was a legend, but Sarah Morrison, she's something else entirely. Which is why I'm offering her any assignment she wants. Delta, CIA, even training position here. What do you think she'll choose? I don't know, let's ask her. Morrison entered the office. She traded combat gear for dress uniform. Looked young again. Innocent, almost. Hard to believe this was the same woman who'd killed 22 enemy fighters in 30 seconds. Sergeant Morrison, Patterson said, congratulations on your promotion. Thank you, sir. You have your choice of assignments. Where do you want to go? Morrison glanced at Drake, then back to Patterson. Sir, I want to stay here, as instructor, teaching the next generation of snipers. Patterson raised eyebrow. You could go anywhere, do anything. Why teach? Because my father taught me, Commander Drake taught me. Now it's my turn to teach others. She straightened. Women are going to come through this program. They'll face doubt, skepticism, hatred. They'll need someone who's been there, someone who can show them it's possible. Drake felt something swell in his chest. Pride, maybe, or hope. That's a good answer, Sergeant, Patterson said. Request approved. You'll start next month. After Morrison left, Patterson turned to Drake. You thinking about retirement still? I was, but now? Drake looked out window at obstacle course. Fresh candidates struggling through morning PT. Maybe I'll stick around a few more years. Make sure Morrison has backup. Good, because we need you both. World's not getting any safer. Drake left the office and found Morrison waiting outside. Walk with me, he said. They went to beach where Drake ran every morning. Sun was setting, painting Pacific in colors that had no names. You did good out there, Drake said. Your father would be proud. Hell, I'm proud. Thank you, sir, for everything, for believing in me when no one else did. I believed in you because you earned it, every step. They walked in silence, watching waves, listening to eternal rhythm of ocean. Can I ask you something, sir? Anything. That shot, the 1,930-yard kill, I calculated everything perfect, but there was a wind gust at the last second, a gust I didn't account for. Bullets should have missed by 4 inches. Drake smiled. But it didn't miss. How? The math says I should have missed. Drake looked at sky, where first stars were beginning to appear. Your father made a shot once that defied physics. 2147 yards in conditions that should have made it impossible. When I asked how he did it, he said sometimes the universe helps those who help themselves. That's not scientific, sir. No, it's not. But I've been at war 36 years, Morrison. I've seen things that can't be explained by science. I've seen bullets curve around obstacles. Men survive wounds that should have killed them. Snipers make shots that mathematically shouldn't exist. He put a hand on her shoulder. Your father was watching over you that night. I'm sure of it. Winds shifted in your favor because you deserved it. Because you were willing to take the shot when everyone else said it was impossible. Morrison touched her father's dog tags. You really believe that? I believe in what I saw. You made the impossible shot. You saved 7 lives, and you became something your father never got to be. What's that? officially recognized. Your father died with 17 unconfirmed kills because the Corps wouldn't acknowledge a woman could be that good. But you? The whole world knows what you did. The whole world knows Sarah Morrison is the real deal. Morrison smiled. For the first time since the mission, she actually smiled. Thank you, sir, for everything. Thank you, Sergeant, for reminding me why I became a SEAL. Not for violence, not for glory, but to protect people who can't protect themselves. They stood on beach as darkness fell. Two warriors, one old, one young, one nearing the end of his career, one just beginning. Waves rolled in, eternal, indifferent, beautiful. Somewhere above them, Drake imagined Billy Morrison looking down, proud of his daughter, proud of what she'd become, and maybe, just maybe, proud that Drake had kept his promise, to train her like she was Billy Morrison himself. No mercy, no special treatment, just excellence. 3 months later, Morrison stood in front of her first class of SEAL sniper candidates, 23 men and 2 women. Men looked skeptical. Women looked nervous. Morrison smiled. She remembered that feeling. My name is Sergeant Sarah Morrison, she said. I hold the 3rd longest confirmed kill in U.S. military history. 1,930 yards, combat conditions, moving target. I also hold the record for fastest multiple target engagement. 22 kills in 30 seconds. Skeptical looks changed to shocked silence. I'm going to teach you everything I know. How to read wind, how to calculate ballistics, how to make shots you think are impossible. She paused. But more than that, I'm going to teach you that excellence has nothing to do with your gender, your size, or your background. Excellence is about dedication, about refusing to quit, about being willing to take the shot when everyone says it can't be done. She looked at the 2 women in class. You're going to face doubt. You're going to face people who say you don't belong. Prove them wrong, not with words, with performance. One woman raised her hand. Sergeant Morrison, how do we deal with the pressure, the expectation? Morrison thought about that night in Hindu Kush. 7 lives balanced on a single trigger pull, the weight of responsibility that threatened to crush her. Pressure is a privilege, she said, echoing her father's words. It means someone trusts you enough to give you the hard jobs. Embrace it, use it, let it make you better, not bitter. She picked up an M40A5 rifle. Now let's get to work. We have a lot to learn. As the class moved to firing line, Drake watched from his office window. He'd stayed on, like he promised, making sure Morrison had backup. But she didn't need it. Sarah Morrison was a legend in her own right now, not because of her father's name, because of what she'd done. The shot that saved 7 lives, the shot that changed everything. Drake's phone buzzed, text from his daughter at Stanford. Dad, I saw the news. Your team completed a mission in Afghanistan. Are you okay? He smiled and typed back, I'm fine, sweetheart, and I just watched the future of naval special warfare teach her first class. You'd like her. She reminds me of you. Strong, smart, and doesn't take crap from anyone. Outside, sun climbed higher. Another perfect San Diego day. Another day of training warriors. Another day of preparing for battles yet to come. Because the world was still dangerous. Evil still existed. And someone had to stand against it. People like Sarah Morrison. People like Mason Drake. People who understood that sometimes the only thing standing between innocent lives and tragedy was one person willing to take the impossible shot and refuse to miss. In the years that followed, Sarah Morrison would train over 200 snipers. 43 of them were women. Every single one graduated at the top of their class. She served 3 more combat tours, 47 confirmed kills total, 0 friendly casualties under her watch. When asked about that night in Hindu Kush, she always gave the same answer. I had the best teachers. My father taught me to breathe. Commander Drake taught me to believe. And when the moment came, I did what SEALs do. I took the shot, and I didn't miss. Some records are made to be broken. Some legends are born in fire. Sarah Morrison was both, and the world would never be the same.